Welcome to our podcast channel. Today, we will be discussing the topic, how to control your mind.
It's a huge topic, isn't it? Controlling the mind. Sounds almost mystical.
It does, but it's also, well, really necessary because our minds, they kind of have this tendency, right? This default setting.
Exactly. A default setting that often leans towards, well, the negative stuff. It loves to render in, as you might say, certain thoughts and feelings.
Yeah, like anger or maybe desire, lust even.
And jealousy, resentment,
Mm.
those seem to be the mind's preferred loops. It gets stuck on them.
It really does, like a broken record playing the same negative tune. So we're not just talking about feeling down sometimes.
No, not at all. We're talking about these big, often destructive patterns.
Okay, so the good news is there's a way to train ourselves out of this, a structured approach.
Yes, absolutely. There's a powerful step-by-step training method. It's gradual, not an overnight thing, but it gives you a precise roadmap.
Fantastic. So for everyone listening, our mission today is to really break that down for you. A clear sequence, step by step, for gaining that control.
It's like a toolkit, building in intensity. If one tool doesn't quite work, you move to the next.
But first things first. There's something you need before you even touch the tools, right? A foundation.
Ah, yes. The absolute prerequisite. Before any steps, any techniques, you must have awareness. Mindfulness.
Okay.
It's the master key. Think about it. If you're not even aware of what you're thinking, how can you possibly control it?
Right, you can't change something you don't see happening.
Exactly. Awareness is what gives you the power. It's that moment of recognition. Ah, there's that anger starting again, or, oh, that's jealousy creeping in. Without that, you're just swept away.
So it's like turning the lights on in a dark room. You need to see what's there before you can decide what to do with it.
Perfectly put. You have to know what's happening in your mind before you can act. That awareness is the mastery skill you need first.
Okay, so let's say we've cultivated some awareness. We catch that negative thought, maybe a flash of anger or that pull of desire. What's the very first tool we reach for?
The first step, the lightest touch, is about shifting the pattern immediately. Cognitive replacement, you could call it.
Shifting it. How?
The moment you're aware of that negative, unskillful thought, anger, lust, whatever it is, you consciously, deliberately shift your focus to something wholesome, something peaceful.
Like just thinking happy thoughts. Does that really work against strong stuff like resentment?
Well, it needs to be specific and generate a real feeling. The classic technique is to recall a past good deed you performed.
Oh, interesting. Why a good deed?
Because remembering something genuinely helpful you did, maybe you helped someone out when they were really struggling, expecting nothing back. That memory naturally makes the mind feel, well, happy, peaceful, content.
Ah, so you're generating an actual positive feeling state.
Precisely. That wholesome feeling has real power.
Yeah.
It interrupts the negative thought's momentum. You're essentially changing the channel in your mind, but to something with substance.
Okay, that makes sense. You're fighting fire with, well, not fire, but with a cooling bomb, maybe.
Something like that. But let's be honest, sometimes these negative thoughts are stubborn. That anger or resentment can be really sticky. What if step one, the shift, just doesn't cut it?
Yeah, what if the mind just snaps back to the negative track?
Then we escalate. We move to the second step. This involves thinking about the disadvantages of that negative thought, really analyzing its drawbacks.
Analyzing the drawbacks, so really digging into why this anger or this jealousy is actually bad for me.
Exactly. You ask yourself, what happens if I keep feeding this resentment? How does it actually hurt me? How does it hurt others? If I acted on this impulse, what would the consequences be?
That sounds uncomfortable, facing the downsides.
It can be, but it's incredibly effective. Most people don't consciously connect the thought to its negative consequences. They just feel the feeling.
Right.
But when you clearly see, wow, holding on to this anger is destroying my peace right now, and it could lead to saying something awful later, when the mind sees that clear disadvantage, its natural tendency is to protect itself.
So it sees the thought as a threat to its own well-being.
Precisely. It recognizes the cost. And often, that recognition is enough for the mind to naturally recoil from the thought, to step away, preserving its own peacefulness.
Okay, so first we try to swap the thought, then we try to reason with the mind about the thought's negative impact. What if that doesn't work? What if the anger, maybe a lower level simmering kind, just hangs around?
Right. Sometimes it's persistent. That brings us to the third step, which can sound a bit counterintuitive at first. You just pay it no mind. no attention whatsoever.
Pay it no mind. Like, ignore it. Doesn't that just suppress it, make it fester?
Ah, good question. It's a crucial distinction. Suppression is like actively trying to push the thought down, citing it. That actually gives it energy, right?
Yeah, what you resist persists and all that.
Exactly.
Hmm.
This third step, non-attention or neglect, is different. You see the thought arise, thanks to your awareness. You acknowledge it. Ah, there's that irritation again. But then you deliberately refuse to engage with it. You don't feed it with more analysis, more stories, more justification.
Just let it be there without reacting.
You let it be a thought, just a bit of mental weather passing through. The key principle here is that attention is food for thoughts. Giving attention makes them grow. Constantly replaying why you're angry at someone just makes the anger stronger.
Okay.
If you stop feeding it, it often just fades away,
Yeah.
like a fire running out of fuel.
There's that analogy, right? About the crying baby.
Yes, exactly. It's a great illustration. If a child has a minor tumble, cries out, and the parent, knowing it's not serious, give it zero attention, doesn't fuss, doesn't react often, the child just stops crying almost immediately and moves on.
Because the crying wasn't getting the reaction it sought?
Precisely. The negative thought is often seeking the energy of your attention. If it rises and gets none, it often just withers. Let it pass like a cloud.
Wow, okay. So shift it, analyze its costs, or starve it of attention. That's quite a progression. But what if somehow, even after trying all that, the mind still feels agitated, rough, still stuck?
Yet sometimes the whole mental state is just too coarse, too busy. That leads to the fourth step. Relaxing the thought process itself.
Relaxing the process. What does that mean?
Well, think about when you're caught in strong negative thoughts. Your mind feels tight, rough, maybe even frantic, right? It's not a subtle or peaceful state.
Definitely not. It feels jagged.
Exactly. So the fourth step acknowledges that the texture of the thinking is part of the problem. The solution is to consciously introduce thoughts that are inherently soft, subtle, and calming. You're trying to change the overall quality of the mental activity.
Okay, like what kind of thoughts?
The classics are things like loving kindness, actively wishing well for yourself and others, or cultivating compassion, really feeling for someone suffering, or even deep, profound gratefulness for something simple.
Ah, so thoughts that have a inherently gentle quality.
Yes, they are subtle, peaceful. When you deliberately cultivate these softer states, the whole thinking process starts to relax, become more refined, and that rough, agitated negative thought simply can't survive easily in that smoother, calmer environment.
It's like you're smoothing the choppy waters so the harsh wave just dissipates.
A good way to put it, you're making the mental environment less hospitable to the negativity.
Okay, this is a really sophisticated toolkit. Shift, analyze, ignore, soften. But there's one more step, isn't there? For when absolutely everything else has failed, the final measure.
Yes. If all four of those skillful memes haven't dislodged a really persistent, unskillful pattern, maybe a deep-seated resentment or obsession, there's a fifth and final step.
And that is?
It's essentially crushing the thought with awareness. Total awareness coupled with sheer, unshakable determination.
Crushing it. That sounds forceful, like what you warned against with suppression.
It is forceful, but here's the crucial difference. It's powered by full awareness and practiced skill, not blind reaction. It's a conscious, decisive act. I see this thought, I know it's harmful, I am not going to think this anymore. It's an absolute mental veto.
Okay, but there's a big but coming, isn't there? A major warning.
The biggest warning of all. This fifth step, the crushing determination, it's not recommended for beginners, or even for most people most of the time. It requires significant experience and solid practice with the first four steps.
Why? What's the danger of jumping straight to this crushing technique?
Because if you try to force the mind like that, with raw willpower, without the foundation of the previous steps, without the skill of redirection, analysis, non-attention, and softening, you will almost certainly make things worse.
How so?
Trying to forcibly suppress a thought without skill creates immense internal friction, tension, and agitation. And what does negativity feed on?
Agitation. Friction.
Exactly. You inadvertently end up strengthening the very thought you're trying to crush. It's like wrestling with smoke. The more you flail, the more it seems to be everywhere.
Wow. So step 5 is really the expert level tool, only to be used when the mind is already well-trained and stable from practicing the other steps consistently.
Precisely. It's the final option, deployed with wisdom and skill, not brute force. The whole path is about gradual training, building mental muscle gently.
It really underscores that this isn't a quick fix. It's a long-term commitment to practice, isn't it?
Absolutely. It's about making these steps a habit, day in, day out. That consistent practice is what leads, eventually, to mastery, to a mind that's less and less pulled around by those old negative defaults.
Marathon, not a sprint, for sure.
And think about this, tying back to step 3, the non-attention principle. If giving attention feeds a thought, consider how much of your mental energy, maybe every single day, you might be unknowingly investing in growing the very things you don't want.
Like feeding the weeds instead of the flowers.
Exactly. Feeding anxiety, feeding resentment, feeding irritation, just by giving them your focus, often without even realizing it, because that initial awareness, that master skill, isn't quite sharp enough yet. You could be actively cultivating your own unhappiness.
That's a really powerful thought to leave us with. Makes you want to check your mental budget immediately.
Where's your attention really going?
That's all for today's topic. Thank you for listening, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel to stay updated with the latest news.